大家好，大家刚刚已经看过了这个芝加哥理想中心的影片了。现在我们开始准备今天最后一天的这个转播上课。我们先开始念这个皈依文：诸佛正法圣众会，直至菩提，我皈依，我已布施诸有情愿成佛。
Hello。
诸佛正法圣众会，直至菩提，我皈依，我已布施诸功德，为利有情，愿成佛。诸佛正法圣众会，直至菩提，我皈依，我已布施诸功德，为利有情，愿成佛。
By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings.
这段是请转法轮，一切众生之思慧根器不同而见之，共与不共大小乘，其请殷勤转法轮。
Dorje jangje de la naro da marwa mala chuje kambu ka pam shuba java driyong ka ka ki namma namma zo adela sanja ko sa chon namma le chandu simje tu simana rowa kunla pemban ze ba ye panna ade shala zorban de la jang thene chanju ma to bara jiba samje yang la de shone chanju sim chanju ma chanju simje shendong jibara sho jiba kun de yang da amma da de mi chuje pe chanju na sa na de yang de ra so ne dorje changke kompanyo to sho tene kodoa tene tangarang so khasan nima she sa udon mara se yuati nampo longji nampo shiwara chipe long ti ngado nyam da khasan ta se ngado shuya la jirwa ti ta zalong ko da mo se tilu shu tilu chi 我的这里的交在情报官的地下，这些学员上是啊，大家东西呢，就是嘛，这个朝鲜国这可能这种程度有了，程度是这学员上是吧
？So the last 4 days, I spoke about the Odumvara and Blossom, the text, and also spoke about some of the channels, winds and drops. And I thought that today I will also give some brief instructions on Mahamudra. And there is a song related to Mahamudra given by Milarepa.
大家好，今天是我们上优昙婆罗开的最后一天，最后一讲。那今天呢，我会再讲一下这个七脉明点以及大手印的部会加讲一些大手印的部分，其中大手印会提到弥勒日巴所讲的一些道歌。
Okay. 어떤 거나 양께서는
자농 트리에 관바탕 사농 트리에 고미아탕 냥데와 타고음다 냥데와 타고음바 창편내에 고음라 창편내에 고음라 소 창편내에 있으나 다스라와 세미시 고미아 참바 닌게 가와 당념도 세미시 고미아데 창편내에 라고와 这从嘛，他这块钱不就差不多没得事。这那批的光北疆，这说是要光红绿。恰当早晚帮们女，恰当然后差吧，这早晚帮头嘛，恰当然后这到底帮着说的，恰当差吧这早晚帮头嘛的是。我这里那晚上什么了，什么东巴西吧，什么东巴西吧，我这呢什么到那晚上什么吧，什么东巴你吧，我这哈过说那真的我这多费娘他妈的呢，我这多费是那年来的，交的钱不多费给年来的妈的呢。出钱就是说，给别错，他们起码留下来上，出钱的全部不要，给厂啊，这吧，厂嘛，这是厂里有的是，我这里叫的全部那路讲那边呢，是厂嘛，这厂都的是，我这里在这当地，就，他这种股票的，像也像说像股票，这种股票那说开的那怎么，我这那路叫的全部刚多特别，我第一期去，我这次去学的也种多。
So in that song, Milarepa says, for the regarding the practices, the meditation on the channels, winds, and drops, as well as mantra recitation and deity yoga, deity visualization, and all the meditation on the abodes of Brahma, and that means it refers to the four immeasurables, immeasurable love, compassion, joy, and equanimity. So it says that all these are the trainings of the great vehicle. And when you practice such meditation, notice list of meditations. However, you might be able to abandon the more coarse levels of afflictions, but the more subtle afflictions of attachment and aversion, really, you won't really get to the very root of them, only through these practices. Then how do you get to the root of them? He says, it is when you recognize that all appearances are your own mind, and that the mind itself is emptiness. When you understand that is when you never separate from this realization or this experience of Mahamudra, that is actually the highest discipline, ethical discipline. So everything is complete within that state of Mahamudra. Ethical discipline, making offerings, and all virtuous practices. And all the practices of, for example, the channels, winds, and drops, and love and compassion and bodhicitta and so forth, they all are taught for the sake of realizing ultimately the state of Mahamudra.
如果各位在这一个网上你有在听，就开你的声音的话，请关静音，我们听到非常多的杂音，请各位关静音，谢谢。现在好了。今天讲的是气脉明点大手印。那么当我们讲到本尊瑜伽的时候，我们讲到这个四无量心慈悲喜舍的部分。那么不管是说我们修大乘道，我们在禅修的时候，我们的一个准则就是要能够舍弃这个粗的这个烦恼。但是至于维系的烦恼呢，比如说贪执等等呢，比较维系的贪执，则必须要透过修持才能够真正的舍弃。那我们要了解心的本质为空性，那这个就是大手印。那在这个修行的过程当中，其实很重要一点就是所有这个修行的过程，持戒也是很重要的。不管是慈心、悲心，一切究竟都在大手印的范畴之内。
情感呢是心态的设计。
今天网效果。
tinitin na ti sam da ninja chitan ku ga yo mare
chamso mo dan gemi jinsin gewa mare chamba mi je momba san mare gewa yo mare 동니다 상생계 동니다 같은 게 되어서 공바 타마트 동이 공바 타마트 동니다
抱歉，我这个 Zoom 的网只有100个人的容量，如果进不来的就我们只好晚一点再请师兄来播了。
Mungbatikeva maris, marikbatikeva maris.
Geva maris, geva medit maribati bantuk maris tik.
Ale.
Maris zavan bantuk maris tik. Doni davat geva andu kunam papanken telan geva vades. Yendar chates goris. Kendi doni davat tik te bantuk goris mariba. Doni davat den.
Dini bang matupati kareris.
참니제 또 소스라 뭐 참니제
참니제
와 잡아내데 다들 당디노데 차바 방폭 말이스 어 당디노데 와라세 돈이 다바티 차바 방도 그래서 텐디 돈이 다바티 참니제 또 구매야 또 돈이 다바 또 버치 어 그래서 또 나 처음으로 또 마방도 그 차바테 돈이 다바 미나 방폭 말이스 only
참니제 라파티 방폭 그래라
现在在 Zoom 的，如果你们有办法能够看到 YouTube， 请赶快退出，因为很多人进不来。很抱歉，今天特别状况，不知道发生什么事情了。
I'm on, yeah. Yeah. So in the text, the Pramana Vartika, it says that only bodhicitta, love and compassion alone, while they are virtues, they alone will not get to the root of ignorance, not uproot it entirely. In order to uproot ignorance entirely, one must cultivate the view or the realization of emptiness. So, of course, when one cultivates bodhicitta, love and compassion, one abandons self-grasping on a coarse level. So one becomes more selfless through cultivating love. But to really get to the root of it and abandon even the most subtle form of ignorance, that can only happen through the realizing the view of emptiness. And so therefore it can be said that the practices of bodhicitta, love and compassion are actually for the sake, we practice them ultimately for the sake of realizing emptiness.
那么在刚刚引用的一段文里面呢，有讲到说，不管是菩提心也好，慈悲心也好，慈心悲心，或者是行善这些等等，当然是很好，但是他们没有办法真正能够达到无明的根源，从根源把无明能够拔除，要能够去掉真正的从根去掉无明，我们必须要真正了解空性。所以当我们修菩提心啊、慈悲心，当然很好，它可以去掉粗的烦恼、粗的我执。那么从这个修慈心一直到我呢，我们必须要找到去我执的根。那这种方法唯有修到空性，证得空性，才能去掉从根去掉我执。
So now there is this song by Milarepa on Mahamudra. Which I just have here in Tibetan. And so in the title it says the wisdom illuminating Mahamudra, the root, so the root of illuminating, the root wisdom of illuminating Mahamudra. And so the title is termed Mahamudra, first of all, in the title. So in Tibetan it is Chakya Chimbo, and the first word is the Chakya, which is translated as the seal, but Chakya also consists of 2 syllables, and the Chak can refer to the meaning of emptiness, the wisdom of emptiness, and the Kya of the Chakya is the liberation from all samsaric affairs. And then so Chakya, and then Chembo means great, and also here the meaning is that a great union, an innate union, that the union, for instance, of bliss and emptiness and so forth. And then another way to explain this term, Chakya Chembo, Mahamudra, is that Chakya, if that as a word means seal, like the seal of a king. When a king places a seal on something, then that's like an ultimatum. There's nothing higher, nothing that goes beyond, nothing that is higher than the king's seal. So that's the meaning of the seal here. And then Yeshe is the primordial wisdom. So the wisdom which illuminates. So the wisdom, primordial wisdom, is now without wisdom, we cannot see. It is because of unawareness, of not seeing, that we are in a state of ignorance. And so primordial awareness is the opposite of that.
那我们在讲到大手印呢，这个在弥勒日巴祖师的道歌讲到大手印呢，它是智慧的根呢，根源照亮的这个大手印。那这个大手印这个字呢，在这个藏文里面呢，是2个字组成的 chakya 千波。所谓的 chakya 它本身呢又有2个音节。那么恰就有一个空性之字的意思 ，gya 就是解脱轮回。那当然，另外一个意思就是 in 的意思 ，tempo 就是大的意思。所以呢，从第一层的意思来讲呢，这个是空性之字能够带领我们解脱轮回。那第2层的意思呢 ，chakya 它代表的也是 in。那么也就是国王之印，其实代表的是究竟无比这个更高或更大的，那指的就是我们的本初字 Yeshe。那它这个本质，那如果说我们如果没有智慧的话，就不可以见到这一切的真相。那因为我们众生都有无明，所以呢，本初字呢是对治无明的一个重要的这个工具。所以呢，这个主要2个合起来就是我们的本质的和合，指的也就是乐空和合，空乐不二的意思。
The gurus and the Mahasiddhas, and then there's an homage to the lineage of gurus, the lineage of Mahamudra. So then he says it is to the master, the great master, Tilopa, and the great scholar Naropa, and Marpa of Lodak.
那在这个偈颂里面，一开始就是敬礼上师、大成就者、大手印的祖师们，包括这个第六巴大师大学者那罗巴，以及这个藏医马尔巴医师。
대바 되게 못 봐지. 저다 말아래 봐. 대바 쇼 지어라. 마르웨 두고 같이 당나. 그러나 대바 좀 로아니요 말. 어떤지 대바 텐듯이 샤브롱 유랭디 샤브롱 유랭 보다 쇼든다. 할로 초사 쇼오제 쇼로와. 로초인 사보다 쇼레. 로초인
마르바님도.
로초 유랭스 두개 겠나. 담아 당한테네. 담아도 당한테네. 소드롭 잡고 곰 뭐다 말아래 피페 존류 쇼 지고 봐 말아래 그 곰사리 좀더 당는 알아서 좀더 거 반동 네 상상도 모르와 그리고 아주 좀더 당나 근데 치투 사마래 잠나 근데 용도 와 왔다 근데 지고네 곰베 친지라 와다 곰베 세 곰인데 들었을 때 진압쇼 송 진압쇼 르네 도모 르네 도모 바르스 르네 도모 기타 초테 말아래 봐 도모 초 시오제로와 또 어떤 말아래 그 곰자 도모래 어떻게 되도 못해 좋은 말스 제고 장래 초스 레지 거대 공리다 초도 그거 샘의 워시샤 샘의 워시샤 샘 워시샤는 다 저도 전부 샤송 샘 주롱망장 내가 시행하면요 저다 주의 롱망보다 라비아요를 나니 전압 주반은 시행하냐 그 말이지 어다 주발 주비 초사스 컨테너요 주발 주비 초사 냠내 전압 주발이 그래서 내가 말아래파 연대 딱 사만냠내치 투바토 데리마주 데레 주바리 어떻게 주바 시행다 강다 체파리 가라던 데다 시행하면요 체파리 지라도 저 체파리 지라도 냠스네 비투스 어떤 냠스네 비투스 어떠라 냠스네 비투스 다 냠내치야 뭐 라피다 데리마 데바 송샤나
So then the text, the real text then begins. So it's by Milarepa. So he says, me, the yogin of Gungtang. So Gungtang is Milarepa's birthplace. So he refers to himself as the yogin of Gungtang. So me, the yogin of Gungtang, relied on the venerable master of Flojak, which is Marpa, his guru, with unwavering faith and devotion. So when we think about Milarepa's devotion to Marpa, it is actually quite incredible, because no matter how harshly he was treated by Marpa, he would never turn away from his faith this entire time. And so then it continues. I stayed at his feet for a long time. So about 6 years he stayed together with Marpa. And during this time, he says, he bestowed on me his gracious compassion. And I received his instructions, which I had put into practice with great diligence, making the greatest effort, and meditated. Also here, when we think about that, when we think about Milarepa's diligence and how he dedicated himself to practice, actually it's quite incredible. It's unbelievable, actually, if we really think about ourselves, for example, doing something like that. It would be unimaginable for ourselves to even think of doing this. And so such was his incredible diligence. And so then it continues. And then having engaged in meditation practice, through the blessings I have received, the heat of Tumo blazed forth, started to blaze forth within my body. And only wearing a mere cotton cloth, heat arose within my body. So Milarepa, we know, was known for just wearing a cotton cloth. And his main practice really was ultimately the Tumo practice. And it was said that Milarepa developed incredible levels of heat or warmth in his body, just wearing a cotton cloth. And so then he continues, and it says, and then through this, luminosity dawned within my mind. And that means the nature of Mahamudra dawned within his mind, his luminosity. Then he continues, there's much to be said within the scriptures and the various tantras. However, even though much is to be said, there's also much to be said when it comes to there's much to be said regarding an actual experience that is gained through the lineage that one receives. In the Gongchik also it says, Dharma that possesses lineage is most profound. And Milarepa's lineage is the practice lineage of blessings, which means that all the masters of this lineage have transmitted this lineage through having actually practiced it, experienced it, and then passed it on in this way. So then the text then continues. So then, with this lineage, when I then engage in practice and so forth.
那么因为这个道歌是弥日巴祖师写的，所以他就讲到说，我这个贡唐的瑜伽士，因为他是来自于贡唐的，那我一直无比的上师，这个收大的这个上师指的就是马尔巴，我对他有无比的信心跟虔诚心。当我们想到弥日巴祖师对马尔巴的这个虔诚心是非常难得的，是很不可思议的，因为马尔巴给弥日巴祖师种种的这种苦行的考验，但是弥日巴并不丝毫不减弥日巴对马尔巴的这个信心跟虔诚心。那他继续讲，我在这个马尔巴祖师的法座之下6年，他非常的慈悲，赐予大慈悲，那么给予我这个非常我也能够精进的来修行。但我们讲到弥日巴祖师的精进修行是非常不可思议的，是一般人是不可能做得到的。那透过如此的修行呢，我身体上渐渐这个暖热升起的慢慢的升起的着火。 我身上只披着一件薄薄的棉布。那这个弥勒日巴祖师是以他的着火成就著称的，他平常就披着一件非常薄的这个棉布衣。那么他继续讲，我心中升起光明，这个就是大手印。在经典当中有许多可以研究的，可以修行的，但是透过传承而来的真实经验也是很重要、很珍贵的。弥勒日巴在他这个应该是吉田松公吧，在供起正法义里面有讲到，有传承的法是甚深的。那弥勒日巴祖师在他这边呢，他的修行也有这个传承的这个加持，所以以此呢，我来修行，这个就是弥勒日巴祖师所讲的。
Continues, so then when I engage in practice, so when I practice the path of the actual natural condition or the natural state. And so what that means is that there is two kinds of an actual natural state, a true natural state. One is that of the body and the other one is that of the mind. The other day we talked about the condition of the body, the key point of the body, which are the 7 points of Vairocana, the posture that we assume when we meditate. And for the actual condition of the mind, it is the state of Mahamudra. And then he continues. So there is the natural condition of the path, and from that the result arises. And with regard to the natural condition, the actual condition of the mind itself, which is Mahamudra, there are 3 parts to it, and that is the ground or basis Mahamudra, the path Mahamudra, and the result Mahamudra.
当我在修行的时候呢，我是修真实的这个实相修行。那这个我们所讲的真正真实的这个本然状态呢，包括身跟心的部分。身体的部分，我们前几天已经讲过了，就是七支坐法的这个禅修，比如遮那七支坐法的禅修。那这边提到的心，主要就是要安住在大手印的境界当中。那么心的状态，也就是大手印的状态，也有3部分。第一个是基或者是根，第二个是道的大手印，第3个是果的大手印。
다 요바 니발라서 그 상대 제도를 다들 요어들 요만요 요바 많이 저베장 맞아 세니 비페차 가지나 요바장 많이 저베 차세 모나면 되거든 그래서 요바 많이 저베장 맞아 미바 많이 미바 많이 군대 군지시 어다 미바 말이 군대 군지시 이타 요미니 타라 제데 어들이 만추바 만추용 마도르바 다 토르용 요 말이스 주마치 주마치 현재 마저스 나도 어제 당단이 되면서 주라 만나세요. 글쎄. 되게 조상군의 초치는 다된서 도베스 상지 투크를 심지어 보여레스 심지어 상지 소만 이번 쭉 조상군의 초치는 도베스 상지 다 대화를 비는 것이 투크레스 쭉 조상군의 초치를 이니얼 매체 이니얼 매체는 심지어는 상지 이게 예와요 말이에요. 이니얼 매체는 그리고 저는 다도 상지 인고지 라이어를 심지어는 라이어를 상지 투비아를 했는데 다도 상지 인고지 저 심지어는 상지 인고지 와다리도리 정도 진정다 텐트 인사를 했네. 그 제가 마저를 제가 조동야요 말. 이나다 내가 주에 방송 좀 그런 참도 그러다. 안티 제가 마저 코나 뭐라 조동야요 말에 살아셔리. 뭐라 조리야요 말에. 我这上见开的，嘛就上见开发的人呀，说的呀嘛，身边弄包的都当的呀嘛。我真的可能写的呢，就当的也有嘛的。但个是你规章嘛那对哇，写的那么对不你，在那说写的那么对不你，来趟嘛的冲突的，我来的嘛的冲突你，在中哇，我在深圳为啥的，来的嘛的冲突的，这种对吧？我但来那上街的，你人那上街的，嘛的身边可玩笑是哪哟？我在深圳为啥的？我在你看中国中，昆德尼就咋玩样？让先报他马托因，昆德尼咋玩？让先报他马托因。三年级出呢，可玩意，三年级出从那可玩意。你们多呢，上街人，我在你们多从上街人，我这在在规章嘛那我在听着，那问啥的吧？上街开的嘛就是出完，我真的身边对的嘛说，多把上头嘛出完面，那身边出从呢，这些因为我了，面头都要嘛的，可能我了面头都要嘛的，我当时就嘛的把这这样面他在出从这个什么，这些因为可能我了出谁来说嘛了，我现在就出什么，这些天你讲了，现在讲了那边。些桥在情况，我到现在昆德尼那里的桥在情况下，我这里些桥在情况下，那这里中多。
So then it continues with first speaking about the ground, Mahamudra. And so it says, so first, with regard to the ground Mahamudra and its fundamental condition, its fundamental nature. What is its fundamental nature? This ground, not the ground of all. It is the enlightened intent of the Buddhas. It is the very mind of sentient beings. So actually on the ground, on the actual fundamental ground of the fundamental nature of the mind, there is no distinction between Buddhas and sentient beings at all. It is just that temporarily sentient beings are deluded and Buddhas are liberated. And so then it goes on, and it has no color and no shape. It is without center and without boundary. And then it is vast or boundless and with unlimited by any side or extreme. It is unlimited. So the mind of Buddhas and sentient beings ultimately are equally vast, without any bias of eternalism or nihilism or affirmation or negation. And then it goes on. It has never existed. It has never not existed. It is unconfused and unliberated and unceasing. So with regard to this, it has never existed and it has never not existed. In the Mahamudra aspiration prayer, it says it does not exist because not even the Buddhas have seen it, nor does it not exist because not exist because it is the very basis of samsara and nirvana. The ultimate nature is free from the extremes, the limitations of affirmation or negation. So it has never been confused and never been liberated. And it is unceasing, and it cannot be changed through conditions. And so now regarding that, so first of all, in the Uttara Tantra, it also speaks about that nature, and it is said that this nature of the perfect Buddhas, the Buddha nature, the Dharmakaya, the mind itself, it dwells indivisibly from all sentient beings at all times. So sentient beings and Buddhas are never really separate. Sentient beings possess the essence of Buddhahood. That's their nature. And then regarding it cannot be changed through conditions. So that means now on an ultimate level, of course, temporarily we are confused. So we are wandering in samsara, but our true nature, that can never change through any condition. And then when one becomes a Buddha, it doesn't become anything more exalted or anything better. And at the time of being a sentient being, it doesn't become more defiled. So when one attains enlightenment, this nature still remains the same. It hasn't gotten any better. And for as long as one is a sentient being, it is never getting any worse. The fundamental nature can never be changed. In the Shamatha Practice prayer, it says, there is a single ground, yet two paths and two fruitions. It is just the magical display of awareness or unawareness, samsara and nirvana. And also in that text, it says, when you recognize it, you are a Buddha. Not recognizing it, you are a sentient being wandering in samsara. Also, Lord Jigten Sumgön had said that it is the root of samsara and nirvana. When you realize the nature of the mind, you see that the mind is the root of samsara and nirvana. So it is basically the one, two sides belonging to one. When there is dualistic grasping, the dualistic perception, then that side we call samsara. And when one realizes non-duality, and that we call the state of Buddhahood. So that's very similar to the Shamatha Practice prayer. And so it doesn't get better when one attains enlightenment, and it doesn't get worse at the time of being a sentient being on the sway of confusion. And then it says, so this is the nature of Mahamudra that dwells as the basis of all beings. So that is our true nature, the ground of our true being. It is just temporarily, it is obscured by ignorance. But this is just a layer. The Buddha nature itself, so we are not saying that Buddha nature has become confused. It is just obscured by confusion, but it itself has never become confused. So this is the nature of Mahamudra. It is the all ground, the basis of all arising of samsara and nirvana.
在这边，首先我们讲到鸡的这个大手印，那鸡的所谓鸡或道这个根来讲呢，它的本质是什么呢？这个它就有基础的意识。那这一切诸佛证悟的本意是什么？就是为了众生。那事实上呢，在根本上呢，诸佛与众生本质是一如的，只是佛陀是证悟的众生，那个众生是迷惘的佛陀。但是证悟之后呢，什么叫做证悟？它是无形、无色、无中、无边，它是平等广大，它离长跟短这种二元的念头，也不是存在，也不是非不存在等等，就是这种二边，它也都是远离的。那么所谓什么叫做不存呢？因为即使佛陀你证悟到佛果，你也见不到他。那又什么说是亦非不存呢？因为它就是轮回跟涅槃的根本。那么只是呢，他从来就未曾迷惘过，他永远不止息，他也不会因外缘而变。所以这边指的都是佛性。在宝性论里面讲到佛性的它的圆满的特质跟本质呢，他们有提到法身跟三世诸佛的这个本质跟众生，这是讲到这个它的圆满的佛性的圆满本质就是所谓的法身。那在这一个上面呢，佛性上面呢，众生跟三世诸佛的本质是等同的，那它是不会因外缘而变的。那这个究竟来讲呢， 这个究竟层次，这圣义谛来讲是这样子的，它不会因外缘而变，它所有的本质都是等同的。但是相对地暂时来讲呢，因为种种的迷惘执着而在轮回中流破。当我们成佛的时候，佛性不会超过它，不会变得更好。当我们现在堕为众生的时候，佛性也不会变得更差。这个就是根本的它的本质。在普贤王如来祈愿论里面，一开始祈愿文里面一开始就讲到机一到二，结果二。那差别在哪里？就是觉与无明所变现，是我们觉悟了，还是我们有着无明？若觉此性，即是佛，无明众生轮回破。所以呢，我们要知道，不管是轮回或涅槃的根源，都是来自于我们的心。那它是一体的两面。怎么叫做轮回呢？就是当我们执二元对立为实的时候，这个就是轮回。那涅槃呢，就是当我们知道究竟是没有二元对立的，究竟无二的，这个就是涅槃。这些都是大手印的这个本质，那它也是安住在众生本有的这个心性的这种本质。只是为什么众生看不到呢？因为暂时因为无明遮住了而迷惘了。那我们要知道，佛性是从来不迷惑的，不迷惘的，只是迷惑的是众生。所以这一切呢，都是轮回跟涅槃的根本。
Says that there is nothing to be cleared away, nothing to be removed, no fault to be removed, and there is no quality to be added, placed into it, added to it. But if you look authentically at your, or if you truly look at your true nature, then you will truly become liberated. Also, Milarepa, when he sang a song to the 5 Tsering sisters, he said that this inner moving consciousness, when you when not realizing its nature, it becomes the source of all confused perceptions of samsara and the basis of all karma and afflictive emotions. When you realize it, then itself becomes self-knowing primordial awareness, and all good qualities arise from that. So what we call samsara and nirvana is just the difference between realizing or not realizing this.
真的，他写起南桥的前报是吧？南桥的前报。
那么这个佛性也是这样，本性也是这样，它没有什么东西可以尽除、可以移除的，那也没有什么东西或功德可以再把它加上去的。那如果我们真实的能够见到自性的话，我们自然就可以得到解脱。那弥勒巴祖师在对于五个策琳玛姐妹所开示的这个道歌里面有讲的，这个是我们内在的这个明光明觉。当我们不了解的、不明了的时候呢，它就是一切轮回迷惘之根源。升起的业跟烦恼的那个根源，如果我们了知了，那我们证悟的时候，它就是自明的本初智。
在农间课堂农工厂的课堂去人吧，在农民现在在他现在个农民吧，现在怕现在买烟用啊，拿了在听到了，咱家们去多呀的，现在农民让我的，在旅行的时候，但现在有讲嘛，这点营养是那个教呗，农民就是那么，那边就对营民，但研究嘛，研究从它就用嘛的，但研究从的讲那个嘛的。今天总共给推送上节熊狼推举起没别千百亿送了，推送上节熊狼推举起没别千百亿没买些呢，如那打看了名字，千百亿没买些，但如在那这个忙不起呢，其他这个那个通知不买的是，如那打看了名字送了这对，他买银吧这边光叫开起口在讲，原因从那这光那都不买的个，对，抢着不了。真的呢，确定这米样子确实，我在样子是这样的，上忙不巧，那我什么，已经确定他妈的去了。
So then next it continues. So this was the basis or the foundation. And then next is the path Mahamudra. And so then here Milarepa says, then on the basis of this foundation, when you engage in practice and by entering the Dharma practice, rest within an unobjectified and non-referential state. And with abiding within this state, abide without distraction. So that's really most important, to stay without distraction. So yesterday I spoke about the Shamatha practice, and that's really related to that. So I gave a few methods of how to practice Shamatha, but sometimes you can also use the visualization of the Yidam deity, for example, as calm abiding meditation, and just stay with it single-pointedly without distraction. And within an awareness that deity appears but lacks any inherent, any solid, substantial existence. And in this way, you are practicing shamatha, but also you are practicing the union of generation and completion stages. So you can practice in this way, or also we mentioned there is different kinds of shamatha. So there's the shamatha with support and without support. I gave a few methods. And then there's shamatha with the winds and without the winds. We also spoke about shamatha with the winds, and shamatha without the winds would be to meditate, practicing in meditating within a state of non-distraction, just resting in the natural state without any distraction. So to be without distraction is really most important, because when you're distracted, then you are clearly not with your meditation, you're not meditating. And Lord Jigden said that the path of all the Buddhas of the three times is that path of mindfulness. If one doesn't understand the crucial point of non-distraction, even if one puts one's body through all sorts of austerities or hardships, they will not yield any special qualities if the mind is distracted. So that's really what's most important, an undistracted mind. If you are distracted, then you're not actually meditating.
刚刚讲的这个基或者是根的这个大手印，接下来我们来讲到的大手印，在这个基础之上，若能够继续来修持这个修法，安住于无缘无依的境界当中，这是一种不分心不散乱的这个境界。那这个重点就是在不分心不散乱这个上面。昨天我们讲到这个修止或者是修定，跟这个是有相关的。昨天已经举了几个修定的这个方法。那比如说，我们今天来以这个修本尊法来所缘做来修持呢，很重要的一点就是要能够不分心不散乱。那么本尊显现却了知他无自性，这个就是指，这个也是升起次第圆满次第的和合。那么当然这个所谓的修止或者是修定有很多不同层次，有所依或有所缘，无所依或无所缘的，那也有气的或无气的。那最重要的地方就是我们要专心一致，不分心不散乱，这是很重要的。如果我们分心散乱的话，它不可能是在禅定当中。吉田松公祖师曾经讲过，三世诸佛的道呢，主要就是正念。如果我们不了解正念的话，不散乱的话，则不能得到特别的果報或者是功德。如果我们分心散乱，自然就不在禅修当中了。
And then Milarepa continues with like how you should practice on a daily basis. So he says, on an ongoing basis, practice without grasping. practice with everything that appears without grasping, then all appearances are liberated as dharmata. And so also elsewhere Milarepa says, when you walk around, when you go around, then take all appearances as the path. Practice with all appearances. So when we go around, we perceive all kinds of things. We see forms, we hear, we smell, we touch and so on, and we taste. And whatever you encounter, whatever sense perception you encounter, it all is taken as the path. And taking them as the path, and he says, then the 6 collections or the 6 sense consciousnesses are then if the 6 sense consciousnesses do not grasp, they are liberated in their natural state on their own. So when Milarepa says, when I go around, I walk within the innate, within an innate state of without any fabrication. So there's no fabrication toward whatever arises, no thought toward whatever arises as I walk around. This is the way to walk around. And he said, when I'm eating from within a state of emptiness without any clinging and attachment. This is the way of eating. And when I'm drinking with unceasing mindfulness. So this is the way of drinking. Also, Guru Rinpoche had said in an instruction on how to take appearances as the path. He said that when sights, objects of the eye, appearances of the eye become manifest, or whatever other outer objects may appear to your senses, it may appear, but there is no grasping towards them. When there is no grasping towards them, then everything dissolves, like all fixation, all self-grasping, and becomes purified in the natural state. And appearances then arise as the deity. And so this is regarding outer forms. When there is no grasping in outer forms, whatever one sees, and then all of the labels collapse and appearances become the pure deity. And then he goes on, when you perceive things with your ear, do not label them as pleasant or unpleasant. Then all sound becomes empty, yet heard, and never separate from that. So this is the way to practice with all sounds. And regarding the mind, whatever appearances manifest within your mind, such as the 5 afflictive emotions, the poisons, and so on, when you do not hold them to be true, then they will just dissolve into their natural place. So all the movements in the mind will just settle on their own and become liberated in the Dharmakaya. So this is how he instructs we can always, in whatever we do, practice by taking appearances as the path.
接下来呢，弥勒日巴祖师有讲到，如何能够天天的来精进的修持，继续的修持，而不执着一切的外相，因为我们都知道这个都是不过是我们内在法性的这种展现。当我们出去走路的时候，不管是我们看到什么、听到什么、闻到什么或尝到什么，一切的经验都可以是我们修行的这个方便之修行的道。如果说我们不去执着我们身体的那个六感、五感或六感的话，那么我们可以在本他这些经验的本然状态之中得到解脱。在本质的这个状态是不造作的， 当我出去走路的时候，一切现象的升起，我不去执着。我吃饱的时候，在空性；我吃饭的时候呢，吃食的时候，在空性中是没有任何执着的。我喝东西的时候，也是安住在无止境的这个正念当中。那过去莲师也有这样讲，如何以外相为道。当我出去当我的这个外相生出来的时候呢，我们外相显现在感官的时候，我们知道它的种种显现，而不去执着它，一切的我执就得以清净。外相呢就可以转成的这些本尊。那一切的我们所贴的标签呢，就是好坏啊、喜欢不喜欢等等这种标签呢，都崩坏的，那它就回归到本尊的本质。那我们耳朵听到呢，不会去分辨说我是喜欢好听或者是不好听。那我们的心主要呢，我们的心如果升起无烦恼的话，我们也不去把它执着为实，那么这些烦恼自然就消融到它的本质的本来状态当中，那我们也就可以解脱至这个法身的这个境界。这个就是我们如何应用我们日常生活的经验，成为修行道的这个方法。
So then how are we to engage in practice? So we should stay within an uncontrived state, without any mental fabrication, without any distraction. It is said that the uncontrived, unfabricated nature, that is Mahamudra, and that is what needs to be habituated. There was one Indian master, the Acharya Dokse, and he described the nature of Mahamudra as being fresh, innate, self-settled, and transcending the intellect. Regarding the fresh state, it means that it is the present consciousness right now. And innate means that it refers to the primordial, the timeless state, nature, that is unchanging. And self-settled is to rest in the to naturally rest within the nature of the mind. So that is what we call the state of Mahamudra. And Tilopa also explained it in terms of 6 dharmas. And he said that first, do not entertain the past. Sometimes we think about things that happened in the past. Then secondly, do not think now. So do not think about different things that are happening now, but rest within the present awareness. And do not anticipate the future. Sometimes people think about what is going to happen, what they're going to do. So don't anticipate the future and just stay in the present moment of awareness. So that's 3. Then number 4 is that do not meditate. There is no thing to meditate upon actually. You just need to stay without distraction. Milarepa, regarding that, he also said that if you do not know how to meditate, no matter what arises, no matter what appears, then your notion, your idea of non-conceptuality is nothing but a thought. So you have to totally transcend all appearances, whatever appears, you have to be able to meditate. So then number 5 is do not engage, meaning that there is nothing that is actually to be done aside from just continuing on in this natural state without distraction. And then 6th, settle in the natural state. So similarly, without any distraction, abide just naturally. And so for all of that, mindfulness is most important. If you're unmindful, you cannot meditate, especially at first in the beginning. Mindfulness is very important. So it is through mindfulness that one continues on within this meditative state of just natural abiding.
那接下来讲到修持呢，我们应该是在一种不造作、不分心、不散乱，这个一个境界。那这个就是大手印的境界。那有一个阿舍离多杰他讲到的这个本性或者是大手印有几个特质，一个是非常鲜明的，一个是这个本质本然的，它是一个然后再来是本质安住的，再来是超越世间智的。所以第一个它是非常的鲜明鲜活的一种状态。那第二个呢，这个它是本质的，它是一种本然的，它也是没有时间的无时的这种本性。第三个就是自然安住的一个状态，那自性就是本来就是一种很安静很安住在这个自然的这个状态，这就是所谓的大手印。那他没有讲到第四个部分。那第六把祖师对于这个大手印他讲到6个方法，第一个就是不要去想过去，第二个不要去想现在，只要安住在线下的明觉就可以。第三个不要去期待未来，那一样的是安住在线下就可以。第四个不要禅修，其实是没有什么可以修的，我们只要安住在正念就可以了。第五个不去参惑外在的事，因为没有什么事情是我们可以做的，必须要做的，只要安住在本然之境就可以了。然后第6个就是安住在本然之境。那至于关于的如何禅修的弥勒巴讲到说，如果一个行者知道如何禅修的话，那么无论在他身边任何的事情、任何的现象升起，那他都会知道他不过是念头的展现罢了。所以总之呢，最重要的一点就是我们要时时刻刻保持正念。如果我们没有正念的话，我们就没有办法禅修。那因为我们有了正念，所以我们自然就能够安住在自心的本然状态之下。
And whatever appears as dharmata, as reality itself. So this is how it should appear when you are in a meditative state. And so one has to become like liberated from these dualistic notions with regard to whatever appears. Whatever appears, you continue on in this even state of meditation. So then here also it says, when you become liberated, also liberation happens naturally. So Milarepa also elsewhere had said that these notions of meditation or not to meditate are just thoughts. As long as you hold these dualistic thoughts in your mind, that is called confusion. And so therefore, whatever appears, do not grasp at it. Gampopa had also said that if you do not grasp at any appearance, at whatever you experience, that is actually the supreme path, the best practice. So mainly we need to focus on mindful meditation. As you mentioned before, you should stay within a natural, unfabricated state without distraction and sustain that state. But of course, in the beginning, as beginning practitioners, we are not able to sustain the meditative, undistracted state for a very long time. In the beginning, actually, it is better to keep your sessions short but more frequent. Now, when Milarepa gave instructions on Mahamudra, he said, at first, you should hold shorter sessions again and again. Because if your sessions are too long, then eventually thoughts will arise and you will not be able to meditate. So when you begin to notice thoughts arising, you should actually stop your meditation for a little bit, take a break, and then resume your meditation anew. So that in that way, your meditation is always fresh and of good quality and is not controlled by afflictive emotions. So that's why it is said we, as beginning practitioners, should hold shorter but more frequent sessions. Of course, there's no real line to it. There's no limit to it. It depends. If you're able to abide for a longer time, then you can stay longer. If you're not able to continue in this state for a long time, then you hold a shorter session. But in any case, in the beginning, it is better if one's sessions are shorter and more frequent.
但这个强在进步，在这里头，这个强在进步呢。
所以，当我们在禅修的时候呢，我们要知道一切显象都是法性的展现。那如果说能够知道的话，那我们要成悟，这些都是我们解脱二元对立执着。我们要做的就是要解脱我们对二元对立的这种执着，安住在这种等持的一个状态，然后不去执着它。那么，所以呢，这样子一来呢，它解脱也是我自然而然的一种发生的一种状态。那么这个明日巴祖师对于禅修特别有讲到说，所谓的禅修或者是不去禅修呢，这只是一种念头。如果我们行者去执着这种二元对立的念头，那我们的心就迷惘的。我们要知道一切所现都不要去执着。冈波巴祖师也有讲到说，如果我们能够不去执着任何的外相，这个就是修行的无上道。所以重点就在保持我们的正念，在安住在不造作的这个境界当中，能够保任这种状态。那这一点对初学者来讲是不容易的，不容易长时间能够保任在一种正念的状态之下。所以一开始我们禅修的时候，应该时间要很短，然后可以多做几次。那明日巴祖师讲说，这个很重要，就是一开始这个禅修的这个时间短，然后多做常做。因为如果时间太长的话，我们念头会升起，然后念头一升起，妄念升起，我们就没有办法禅修。所以当我们的念头或者是妄念升起的时候，我们要做的就是赶快休息一下，短短的休息一下，然后再回去禅定禅修，这样子我们就不会被烦恼所束缚了。当然对于这一坐的长短的限制并没有明确的规定，如果你能够长时间安住在这个明觉这个正念的状态之下，那你就可以做久一点。那如果说你没有办法长时间安住在正念的状态当中呢，那你应该把你这个禅修的这个时间缩短。
Next is third is the resultant Mahamudra. And so there it says, the Rebbe says, on the resultant level, there is nothing to be liberated and no one who liberates. The mind is free of hopes and fears. The intellect has become exhausted and all phenomena have become exhausted. And you rest within a natural state free of grasping, a state that transcends the intellect and is inexpressible. So this is what is called the resultant Mahamudra. And so not just this one part, the mind that has exhausted all intellect and all phenomena, basically that is the mind of a Buddha.
那
第三个部分就是果，结果的这种大手印。那么明日巴讲到说，它的果地是什么呢？它的是一种无所解脱亦无解脱者的这种境界。到这个时候，已经没有任何的希冀，也没有任何的恐惧，没有任何的世智的这个思想现象，全部都止息了。我完全没有任何的执着，它是一种无法用语言来表达，没有这种离一切细论的，这个就是佛陀的心。
都会讲自己马上那也会有嘛，这讲这些我说说呀，提，我这把讲这个呢，我在那路讲光这样的，这里空松吧，那也这个这个他妈在这唱的这种说， 这口等于啊，这多嘛他们说了说这边最近还是去不要开进步恰的，公平的，我这是恰的有的是，我真正这个恰在进步，我现在前他们这个也的没把娘是那吧，恰在进步一些自己那吧，基础那就基础没啥那就是很自己把我是那是公司，其实在这里的科长的有在我话说这，就像他这个是吧。
And so also it is said that regarding meditation, the legs of meditation is renunciation. So that refers to the 4 thoughts that turn the mind. So when we meditate, we also have to first reflect a little bit, at least on the 4 thoughts that turn the mind, cultivate renunciation. And then it says, devotion is the head of meditation. So the legs and the head. Then also you should supplicate to the root guru or the past Kagyu masters with faith and devotion. You supplicate them for meditation to arise within you. And then it says, love and compassion are the activities of meditation, meaning that when you meditate, it doesn't mean that you can give up sentient beings. You can never give up sentient beings. You always have to look after them with love and compassion. That's very important. And also it is said that until you have realized the nature of the mind, you have to accumulate merit and purify the obscurations. Tilopa, for example, said to Naropa, all appearances are interdependent, and therefore, until reaching the state of enlightenment, you must gather the 2 accumulations. They must go together, just like the 2 wheels of a chariot. And so, of course, when one has attained a high realization, one has transcended, then one just abides within that state. But if one has not actually reached the highest realization, until then, one has to accumulate merit and purify obscurations. So we mentioned before that if you always stay within the natural state of the mind continuously, and we have mentioned that everything is already included within that. But if you are not always abiding within the natural state, then you have to accumulate merit and purify the obscurations. So this is how we should meditate. And so then this section of the text concludes so this is the resultant Mahamudra, and one should practice the path or the ground, the path and the result indivisibly, so simultaneously. These are the instructions of Mahamudra, illuminating the nature of primordial awareness, written by the Jetsun Milarepa.
那么这个我们接下来讲到这个禅修的这个不同的部分，如果说用身体来做比喻的话，禅修的腿就是我们的出离心，所以我们就要从转心释法，也就是人生难得、死亡无常、因果不灭、轮回过患，从这边开始。它的头呢就是诚心，我们要时时祈请上师，特别是噶举上师，让我们禅定能够升起禅定。那除此之外呢，禅定的事业、禅修的事业是什么呢？就是我们的慈悲心。在禅修的过程当中呢，我们还是要不舍众生的。那一直到我们真正了悟心性之前呢，我们都还需要累积福德跟智慧之粮的。就像当初第六巴祖师告诉那罗巴祖师如是说，就是证悟之前呢，我们还要聚集2种资粮。那么这2个资粮呢，福德跟智慧资粮就好像车子的2个轮子一样。那么我们还没到证悟那我们如果还没证到最高的境界呢，我们还必须努力的净化一切的执着，一切的阻挠，那让我们都安住在一个本然的状态之中。 那如此的这个禅修。那么最后呢，弥勒日巴祖师还在提醒我们，在我们禅修的过程当中呢，基到果不是分开修的，它是同时修的。这个就是大手印的如何照明本初智的这篇文，这是由这个杰尊弥勒日巴祖师所写的。
To the dedication, so we come back to our text, the Utumbaras Blossom. So dedication is very important at the end, no matter what virtue we practice, because if we dedicate our virtues, then these virtues will stay with us until attaining enlightenment. Otherwise, they can easily become destroyed if we don't dedicate them. When, for example, if we get angry, get very angry, or we cultivate a wrong view and so on, that destroys our virtues. But if you dedicate your virtues, then they will always remain. It is just like when you're pouring some water into the ocean, that water will remain there as long as the ocean remains. So basically, until attaining enlightenment, the benefit of this merit will remain. So the lines here in the Utumbaras Blossom say at the very end, all the virtues of beings, however many, that have been created, will be created, and are being created, just as the causes themselves are excellent. May they lead to the excellent attainment of the pure bhumis for one and all. So this then concludes the teachings. So we shall stop here and continue with the questions.
那么最后的部分呢，就是要讲到回向。回向是非常重要，我们不管做任何事，修任何的这个法呢、功德呢，那我们都要回向。如果说我们能够一些善行能够回向，那我们就可以保证我们的功德。否则如果我们不去回向的话，那我们的功德就容易被摧毁，比如说生出邪见一般。那如果说我们回向的话，我们不但可以保证它这个情况就好像把我们把水注入到大海里面，那水就不会干枯的，除非大海有一天真的干枯了。只要有大海，那你这个水也不会枯掉。所以最后呢，我们就再回到这个优昙般若花开的这个本文最后这一句的这个回向文。这回向文就是无论众生有多少功德，包括已造、将造、正在造的等等，正如同因自身的殊胜，愿他们能够为一众领领至圆满成就的清净地。所以到这边我们算是已经讲完了优昙般若花开这篇短文。接下来我们就来讨论提出来解答这各位法友们提出来的问题。
담보디 띠띵에 진골라 열에 집어디 데니다 곰 겸나 파체 다바 찍도성 데니 담보 남농 좁든 데네송 데니
对各位法友很抱歉，今天好像有一些这个技术上的一些问题，所以有机会你们如果前面没有听到的话，可以再回看这个今天的教学。那这个 YouTube 油管上面的频道的这个录影都一直会保存在那里。那国内的法友可能要彼此问一下如何能够取得这个录影，再来回播。
데니 딜랍도 데차도 데니 빼 수포 장모 차거래 빼 차거도 데니 갈치겨라 갈치 빼 장모 차거래 데니 카사칼라 참도 그래 다 장냠데 수포 카사칼라 참도 그래 데니 디검 갭에 갑라라 데니 검 갭차도 데니 검 튠디 드차도 데니 기 여러 기 데니 고디 빼 찾고다 뭐 차겨래 지라 그 맞고 차게 요래 데니 빼 다 공다 많이 알게 봐도 빼 차게 독수고 빼 장모 차게 장난 데니 팀 디바데레 데니서 강틸 요라바 강틸
레레
당서 시기얼 살롱 지요라 치세 치요라바 치세나디 그래 룽 다워 인사라 치라 같이 갸지 여러 바치 롱다워라 데니 치기 차 여래라고 또 지금 나와 디치 데니 치기 차 여래 차 가서 갈라져서 내가 찾아보라 데니 디 장냠들아 데니 저바담마다 기에티 강틸기 치기 차 텔란 잡아 여래 스틸라 디 견소고도 에스 데니 도르나 다티 그래서 내가 당거나
가세 치스 코마사 가세
디 강틸 여러와 강베틸 데라 야차 여러와 데니 데 치기 차 가서 갈라 여러와 얘네 안 치기 차 다면 다요서리 데니 강틸기 치기 차 여서와 강틸라 치기 차 야밀세 여서와 디 너바디 강틸 여베 치기 차디 소게도에
아네 어따지 이렇게 야고시마 손시나 제단 제 조다 냠다 이제 좀도 검접이 냠다지 제 신이는 쇼 리과데 댐도 저 담보 쇼시야요 말이스 어제지 스토로온다치 와시고레 검접이 스토로온다치 들으치고레스 어제 지나티 자든 저와 원나 초들 왔어 어제 조제 검접이 스토로온다치 들으치고 다 담보 검접이 스토로온다치 총총총총자 어tenru치고 그래서 어제 한테 리과시고 대초 나 도치에잖아 제 한테 냠다마다 된거 나야 안다고도 제 마데티 시스템 그래서
so maybe I don't know so well about it, but it seems to be just a meditative experience, and also maybe you should try, since maybe you're more new to meditation, try not to overly focus your awareness. Your awareness shouldn't be too tight, too focused, and just relax a little bit more. Maybe it's connected to this meridian you mentioned, I'm not sure, but mainly you have to relax a little bit more, and also keep your sessions short. And when you hold your sessions, don't focus too intensely, because that could actually lead to all kinds of experiences and body aches and so on.
刚刚伊娜并没有问这个念这个问题，所以我不知道她这个问题是什么。但是竹奔的这个可能是讲说，在禅修的过程当中，身体有一些状态。
I didn't ask the question in English, right? Sorry. Did I ask the question in English? Anyways, should I ask it again? It was a question about basically I've been meditating for about a month.
我这个已经这个禅修一阵子了。我用的这个七支毗卢遮那七支做法。
But there's this phenomenon of continuous vibration from the head to neck, which is quite strong.
我这个头这个到脖子的这边，这个抖动的很厉害，而且身体会有这种打寒战的一个状态。在我禅修之后呢，我都常常这个头跟那个脖子的这个肌肉会非常的紧绷，那整天呢觉得很冷。 请问是不是这个跟气脉这个有关呢？
When I chant mantra for some time, I feel a lack of breath.
当我们在这个持咒的时候，我觉得这个气喘不过来，我必须要休息一下，深呼吸，才能够继续来做这个持咒。那我要如何来解决这个问题呢？那第一个有关禅修的这个状态呢，主要就是说，我不太清楚你的真实的状况是怎么样，但是或许你太紧张了，所以或许你可以试试看，在禅修的时候呢，自己更加的放松。 然后把你禅修的时间缩短，然后不要去太注意到身体的这种感受，那或许这样会有所帮助。
你呢在你把东西在第一是这个，卡嘞，手轻不动嘛动，卡嘞，动哪这个硬动着，这些大块就没得动了的，所以我才对起那这个，所以我今年把的蛮硬啊，这个才对起啊，开轻薄的，我今年的才对长那怎么了？
So first of all, you can maybe take a break when that happens, as he said. But also when you are reciting the mantra, you shouldn't recite it also too intensely, too loudly or forcefully, just more gently and slowly, and not too loud. What's most important when you recite the mantra is that the mind is not distracted.
那关于刚刚这个持咒的这个问题，就是说他气不够了。
In recent 5 months, I feel a stream of heat entering into my breasts and shoulders for 20 minutes, and my body gets sweating. My body and mind are distracted. I feel so tired and scared because I feel my body is cold. This happens 2 or 3 times a day. How can I solve it?
那这个就是在持咒的时候，他说气不足，喘不过气来，就必须休息一下，再来这个深呼吸。刚刚这个问题呢，那主本的回答是说，或许你持咒的时候不用太紧张，不用太用力的在一个持咒，也不用台词的太大声。其实持咒应该是很轻轻柔柔的，主要重点是在心不散乱。那再来呢？下一个问题就是说，我已经禅修差不多5个月了，然后常常觉得这个胸口发胀发烫，然后全身会冒冷汗，那一天有2、3次这种状况的产生，那我应该怎么做呢？
对吧了啊，我这个我们今天中国公派的弄个这个后半就我查现在有这哪一把，我这个按照我这个我们是按照我这个没有啊，我这呢这个就在初步长毛吃的呢啊，这是啊没去让伊我们啊这呢初步早我吃的呢在我去让伊长尾让伊呢，我去多了嘛，我这里有把我们我这是偏偏我这边都是呢。那这现场去过呀嘛，自己当现场去看可能先不拿的话，这现场去过呀是要嘛来是，我这样的，这年呢说去的那这去过呀嘛，现场去看的先不拿的意思，我这的是咋看呢
？And also did I say that in English? I did, yeah. And so the answer is, so we mentioned yesterday that we visualized the arm at the navel. They mentioned this instruction by Thich Nhat Hanh of holding the winds gently, kind of it's called the intermediate wind, but gently. So basically, you're just focusing on the R at the navel without distraction. If you feel cold, you can think of this R as having the nature of fire. And if you're feeling hot, then you can think of this R as having a cool nature, the color of mercury. And there is no need to be afraid because the one who is afraid is your mind and nothing else. So when you're meditating, there's nothing to be afraid about. It's just your mind. And the next, if the winds are related to thoughts, to what are the channels and drops related? Tiningan so di long di namtong draba yoris sungsa. Tini yina tini
那么我这个这个就是说到这个就是禅修5个月，然后胸口会发胀发热，然后到冷汗，然后感到很冷，每天有2、3次这种情况。那这个昨天呢，回答是昨天我们有讲到说，在观想脐轮附近的这个字，那吉天颂公务主持有讲说，当我们观想就是观想的时候，那我们的气呢是很轻轻柔柔的。然后持在那里，然后最主要的就是要不分心不散乱。如果说你觉得身体发冷的话，你可以在观想你脐轮中的这个它具有火的本质，可以带来暖热。如果你是全身发烫的话，那你可以去观想说很清凉有清凉的本质，看起来就是水银的这种颜色。至于一切的显象，你不必要感到害怕，其实要害怕的是面对自己的心。那这个就是刚刚那个问题。那接下来这个问题是说，我们前几天有提到，就是说我们的气呢会跟我们的念头是有相关的，但是它如何又跟脉跟明田的关联是怎么样呢？
And the drops are connected to the winds. So we said that the channels are like the ground or the basis, and the drops are like the movement, the activity, and these need to these are related to the winds, and so when they all need to be brought together into one through practice.
那么他回答是说，这个脉就好像这个。
Is there a particular wind that encourages or generates fear? If so, where is it, or where does it come from?
那么讲到说这个气跟那个我们念头有相关，然后它如何又跟我们的脉跟明点的关联是怎么样呢？他回答说这个都是有关的。脉就好像我们的基地一样，那明点呢，它是有这个移动的这种特质，那这些两个都是跟气有关的。那么接下来这个问题是说气跟这个恐惧会有相关吗？那这个恐惧是到底来自哪里？那他又在哪里会找到这种内心的这种恐惧呢？
Miji sa de beja nyamna chi de pa yen so de long kare de sa jo so na de on da yo zui ba de mixi shenan chi go se za zun do sa si ja yo de sa shi ma do sa o de so bo de me ka sa nyamna chi ya de ba mi ba chi de nyamna chi de da xiong ma de zang chen ba ma yen chi yen so na de long go mi yen so na de long kare de sa jo de yo zui ba de ma mixi de se ja yo ma de se wa.
So there is no particular wind associated with fear, and so basically, as you mentioned before, that when the winds are completely untamed and travel randomly throughout the body and throughout the channels without any control, then it's possible that all kinds of thoughts or experiences like fear arise within one. But there's no special like channel or wind that is associated just with fear, that produces fear. It also doesn't have a certain place where it comes from. It's basically all the same as in terms of being thoughts. So that happens when we have not trained so well in the training of the channels and the winds. Then because when we are untrained, then it is possible that all kinds of experiences and emotions arise. And that's, for example, fear. And that's because the winds are just unrestrained and go all over the body. So that's why what's most important is, again, to focus your attention at the navel. Whatever practice you do, focus your attention at the navel. And then actually it's less likely for this to happen. As long as you, of course, remain undistracted. If you become distracted again, of course, it's possible that all kinds of experiences or thoughts may arise. But there's no special like wind associated just with fear. Yes. And then how can we purify and enhance or make stronger the drops? Teni tiglet and so that
那接下来讲说是有什么气是跟这个恐惧是有相关的？回答是没有特别的气跟这个恐惧是有关联的。只要说我们还没有降服我们内心的话，我们内心的这个气就在这身体里面到处驰窜。当然有能够种种的这个念头显现，包括这个恐惧的这个感受。那他并没有说这个恐惧是来自于特别的地方，或者是跟特别的什么样的气是有相关联的。当我们还没有好好的训练气脉的时候，可能会有种种在这个过程当中有种种的这个觉受会产生，主要是他们还没受到这个就是好好的修整的。所以呢，我们要做的是要把注意力放在这个脐轮当中，那么不分心。如果说我们能够这样子训练，反复的训练，那我们就可以慢慢会升起，身体会有慢慢的一些觉受。那接下来这个问题是说，我们要如何进化或者是增长我们的那个明点或明滴。
Train in the winds. for that. And so first, the winds, as you mentioned yesterday, have to become pliable or kind of workable. And for example, we mentioned the visualization of Tumo, where we visualize or focus on the fire, and then eventually warmth arises. And so when warmth begins to arise, then that enhances one's drops. Then regarding starting the morning from the left side, is it the same for male and female, left-handed or right-handed people? And if you breathe from the left, wouldn't it create difficulty? If we are used to right nostril to breathe, as left side is not the dominant side, how do we adjust?
那接下来是如何这个净化或者是提升明点呢？最主要就是跟练气是有关的。就像昨天我们讲的，我们气是要把它透过修行让它变得很温和、很调柔。那我们在修着火的时候是要观想这个火，然后因为透过这个观想呢，升起了身体的这个暖热。如果我们能够这样子修持的话，我们自然就能够增长我们这个明点明滴。那接下来这个问题是说，你有提到说我们最好早上一起来是从左边比如说从左边起床啊，是先左脚先着地啊，先踏出左脚。那请问这个跟男女性，或者是你是左立右立，是左撇子右撇子，或者是有没有关联呢？有没有什么差别？那如果你提到说要从左边的鼻孔来吸气，那对于我们习惯用右边，因为好像左边比较不是那么主要的一个身体的部分，就是这个鼻孔来吸气的话，那这样会不会造成一些困难呢？这个是好几个法友总合起来的几个问题。
left side.
제 전주 있어 말이야. 전주에 있어요. 저랑 그 가르쳐나 나로 답아 용파 동을 앞에 말이야. 일단 너무 배닥신다 시용. 일단 나로 용파 로도 좀 디간에 같이 와지 통도 좀 로그리 예 지난 로그 말이야. 살아펴면서 이제면 나 대동고 라펴 말이야. 그 같이 이제 용을 이제 동고도 좀 생계 예타시네. 생계 예타시네. 나로 다 생계 예타 말신 예파도 와라 그래.用盘嘎东它的上南这个类似，我曾经面这个，现在一见面你的农作从那应用你跟这个什么这肯定都要有嘛来是吧？就像农村这样，你要说那你可以蛮嘎这个那样这个这样呢，就那可能这可能这那个小娃就这。有那农子人，那农大事情我那得用就对钱呢，那个吃法都都来要的是，就那这种的。像就那今年面那这一年面你这是学个嘛的是吧？
就对农嘛从来。
哦，就对农年面去多年面呢。
So first. The first question is, so there's no difference. It doesn't make a difference whether one is a male or female,
男女性
right-handed.
没有或者左手或右撇子是没有什么差别的，对于修持方面没有什么差别。
It's more like an awareness thing.
最主要就是要训练我们的这个觉醒觉知的力道。
For example, getting up with the left foot in the morning.
从左边起床从用左手来拿东西。
Using your left hand, picking up your clothes with the left hand.
就用从左边先穿衣服等等呢，这些都是练习。
It's like a habit, but there's no difference in terms of male or female.
这个男女之间没有什么差别。
It's not that you have to actually breathe only through the left.
并不是说你只能从左边来这个呼吸。那当然，如果这样做的话，会有些困难。主要是你的这个觉察力要放在那里，把这些那个
The breath goes through both nostrils.
那当然，我们的这个气是从两边的鼻孔进出的，但是我们的注意力是放在左边的。
by doing that,
当我们这样子做的话，
will be accomplished
我们的这个事业就可以从我们左边的这个行止可以得到成就，而比较不是从右边得到成办。那至于说这个这个对于呼吸来讲，如果说我们躺下来用的这个狮子卧的方法，在这个右斜而卧，在这样子躺卧的时候，那
So then the winds, meaning the subtle winds, they will naturally flow primarily through the left channel.
那当我们这样右斜而卧的时候，因为右边堵住的，自然我们的气就比较往左边这个流。至于讲说我们注意左边的这个，
like normal basis.
如果说我们在练这个气的话呢，
if you focus on the left side,
如果我们在注意这个日常的行止就做左边，那你们所做一切比较容易成败，比较容易成功。但是你如果不是专修气的话，对你来讲就其实没有什么太大的差别了。
So regarding the visualization during meditation,
就是有关这个禅修过程当中的观想，那我们观想的时候，会不会造成身体的一种张力？那如果会，因为我们要注意观想造成张力，那我们要如何取得一个比较好的平衡呢？因为你提到说禅修的时候应该是一个很放松的一种状态当中。
가르치고 그래서 찬양한다고
벌써 서버 용디 스콤제 비송고 두두리 용다티 스파메소자 야레스 메소디 자 공생디 스탄 야레스 셈코 양보치네 소곰 잠나 야레스 전주 이제당다시라 용 말해서 동안 제가 믹스드 믹스 처음 와서서 이나 제 고면 소송다 말아디 형지라 어쨌든 데 스파코 양보차 데 고음소데 고종 되겠지 我说错不的那个嘛讲的这个这什么叫发生的当然了。
So if you feel some tension,
如果你在禅修的过程当中觉得有一点那个压力的话，你最好就是说先休息一下，让自己能够稍微放松一下。
much more from a relaxed
那最少这个禅修的过程当中最好是比较放松。你如果太紧张的话，效果不是很好。如果你放松的话，或许你不会太紧张。那我自己在这个禅修过程中并没有这样子的经验。当然，你如果说觉得这个身体太僵、太紧张的话，就可以这个休息一下，让自己放松。
Tini ti gom gyaptu tini sem khana ne gores tevala ne gores ti chiktira tini nibatela tini soso kihla komna tarong sabela mati tevala kom go gores tini chitan teva komtang khares tera lung sung gores khare chi gores teva sungtang tini shambati chela lamna ga sori mare
对吧？松当对吧？我们这个对吧？光对天提起那这个对吧？我们对他这对吧？弄讲弄的松些没关的起，对了，那的那这弄讲弄的那就看弄的当的那看法我们是当的那这个，这弄的是这个这个来我看中下来这个看弄的，看弄咱们看弄弄通着是吧？ 我这起的这嘛没搞的松的这个是，我这里一旦光被那看了，就唐伯也他在说的东，这我在重新这些那么多光不样呢，这光这个是呢，那一旦可能光这个没些那么就光嘛的，一旦现在是没嘛光不的是吧？
teni trandala chikto teva kola teni teni chitan teva komtang teva na la lulu te sia de khandas komboris
teva gumya te gumtan te chitan ta devi ko ta som du tra la me ka chi tra la ta an ro la ma ro gomna de shi la ma gomna te a gomna te ta som du tra la me ka chi kom de de wo so shi
ta som
do
teni di karon chik chungchung de jidok deva kola teni nguma di deva sacha de la structure ve yosara pena kashe pugu popa lengona di matupa yora ba teni konso structure na lengo yora teni de la structure ve teni deva ke sal structure ve yore teni ina teni de la deva come la di ma de la pengi jeves kaisa ma de tan is nugera
mat pengi ves
mari di deva come di kandas kaisa ma di ta de la dis nuge yore samge sara kaisa na ko jige dobra
are nog mari samdo se wange mata ko tedi shi sare ja ko to gon di mixe ti ko tera mi faci na ti piano sia yo mari samdo ba
so now I combine.
Mm.
因为的时间的关系，所以伊娜可能把好几个问题都把它合在一起问了。接下来这些问题都是中国法友所问的，刚刚那个也是。
So now I just combined some of the naval related questions.
就是一些有关这个观想这个脐轮的问题，就如何在禅修时候的安住在那个脐轮呢？
How to get a good balance?
那如何那个能够有一个比较好的这个平衡？
So during the meditation,
在禅修的过程当中
and it's fine to focus on the navel.
我们当然这是可以，最好是这个可以安住在我们的这个脐轮，
kind of wind retaining method.
那可以这个用一种很这个柔和的方法来保这个持我们的这个气，那正常的呼吸。
Maybe there's a way that when you close your mouth,
当你嘴巴闭起来的时候
to kind of lock in the winds that you have inhaled.
当我们吸起来的吸气的时候，把我们的嘴巴闭起来，就能够把气给屏住。要不然的话，就是要是自然要自然的呼吸。当我自观我本尊的时候，我是不是把根本上是关在那个脐轮呢？在我们在这个本尊这个法本的时候，如果说我们在观想这个皈依境的时候呢，如果那个法本上有讲说你应该观想根本上师，你就应该观想根本上师。那如果说要这个修本尊法的时候，那个要你观想本尊，那你就去观本尊，因为在这个本尊的本质是具足上师的一切的。 那我们如果去持我们这个，那如果说我们这个在这个禅修的时候，我们提肛的话，会不会造成身体的紧张？最主要就是注意力放在我们的脐轮那里。
It's just as you mentioned before,
就是好像之前提到的，你可以去观想在脐轮那边的东西，的阿字或阿系，或者是登为你的这个禅修的那个所依，或者是你可以观想本尊或者上师在那里。那脐轮就是这个这个肚脐以下四指腹左右，那这个是三脉和结合的这个交汇的地方。 然后自然就会那个会提肛。如果说在这个因为这个剖腹生产，或者是说有这个做这个盲肠的阑尾炎的手术，会不会影响我们的？那最主要对于我们维系的脉没有什么太大的影响。所以就这样子的。 没有什么的坏处，但你这个禅修的过程当中，你能够一心关注在那里呢，那当然对这个对你这个 对你来讲也是有利益的，也能够帮助你从手术之后的这个状况能够改善跟痊愈。在接下来是有关嗡阿吽的这个金刚念诵的时候，我们在脐轮应该要观想这个啊还是吽字呢？那这个跟这个观想的时候会跟我们所谓的这个接下这个就是等一下。就是我们嗡阿吽的时候，我们要这个在观想啊字或者是吽字呢，那这样观想会不会造成身体的张力紧张呢？那我们在做嗡阿吽这个金刚念诵的练习的时候，是不是要观想原色呢？它们各自对应的颜色呢？然后在这个做这个嗡阿吽这个金刚念诵的时候呢，它是这个跟我们的身体的三脉跟四轮的关联性是怎么样的呢？
가장 입광고 말이디 ngak jugores 송송
ngak jug mari la fo
ngak jug mari 송송 그래
ngak jug mari
kan도 mari sam고res sam날라
sam고res la fo ore 어때 ngak jug mari
디니 sam나 디니 카도 요래
kan도 믹스에 제단 예루 카예 데루 제단 가르원도 아마르원도 홍 카세 뭐라면 이게 좀 가서 믹스에 kan도 좀 뭐 와대 어디 어디 저기 나서 이제 이님에 kan도 미나 데쇼레 산다 고나자 고 엄가로야 아마로라 홍 버와 아마 이제 제단 저거 파트 중요하다 엄다 아 대리 삼삼 못 했다야 와
그냥 엄기입 베나나로 더니 디어라바
엄코란다고 소리를 어떻게 거기로 와대
입디 검거라
레레 엄이야다 아 되게
더니 입디 실론로거래 베나 홍디 실로라도거래 홍기 입디
엄테 초리 우리 레벨이 아 네비가브리 홍테 판로베가브로
이나 홍직 판로거라 베나 ini omchig so yongora
da ya da ore o mare da o parts on nyam program wa
mare tilake me ti kainsna ti om samgona ungupra teni om gi yip samgore be teni omchig nga thala so yongdo sta samgore sarda
mare ta o tera mi paji da om dongore zamda om dongos mi paji tiru a dongos what is
teni ok chatsang koran katoka bora
da wo dina om yem dong sinande om yem dong sinande yem da la fo 일단 이게 좀 간도 좀 뭐도 또 어디 미파라 돼 잘.
그래.
그다음에 가장 지금 좀 어디나 가서는 엄 상지 그 인보인 있어요. 인보대 그 색깔로 찾거라. 아 상지 그 인보인 정도 좀 인보인 정도 말로 찾거라. 토대 홍대 토 상지 탐지 토 인보인 정도 토대 뭐 뭐로 찾거라 찾거라.
Teni chitang om tevala om kongore ana hong kongore tevala.
Tevala ando dan so neba te aro a china.
Arang. Teni ine mo thune kom kyamna teni yinglu chipo komna ni a kongore ana hong kongore. Tena to teba mazeba inzara.
Ne a kongore a kongore.
Teni
a kongore.
So first, regarding what to visualize the outer home, So you visualize according to these
我先暂停一下，因为我们是转播，所以稍微差了一点点时间，所以刚刚这个主本已经在谢谢在做结语了，那我们回头再来听他这个回答这个问题好了。最主要呢，现在就是主本是谢谢各位这个组织这个法会的，包括墨西哥的这个中心，然后越南的法友帮忙在用这个 Zoom 来主持这个会议，那每一个参加这个课程的人都非常感谢你们，请各位好好照顾自己，我也会为你们这个回向，祝福你们健康长寿。那接下来是这个接下来呢，他要这个墨西哥的这个负责人在开始讲 Sophia 在讲说，主要就是要谢谢这个主本以及谢谢伊娜，因为没有伊娜的英文翻译，我们大家都会听不懂的，所以非常感谢这个主本。请各位稍后，等把这个主本的主本的这结语之后，我们会再继续来翻译这个主本刚刚的回答，所以不会漏掉的。那这个墨西哥的这个主办人，他也是谢谢，除了就是伊娜之外，也谢谢Christy 帮忙做整个这个网络的这个协调，以及中文的口译 Rocco 师兄能够为这个中国的法友来做口译。请稍等一下，因为等一下就轮到我讲话了。Yes, sure. Yes. Thank you so much to Bangla, and this has been such a. Can you hear me? Thank you so much, Dubang. This has been such a wonderful, profound teaching. Thank you for your kindness. And I want to confess openly for any error or mistake I made during the process of translation, whether due to internet or due to my lack of understanding in this process. But I really rejoice everyone's participation. I also pray that Chicago Partnership will soon have all your building fund be paid off. Thank you.刚刚我就是跟这个主本谢谢他这么好的这个法教，而且我也感谢这个各位来组织这个法会，并且在公开的忏悔我翻译不恰当的地方，不管是因为网络不顺的问题，或我自己学识不够的问题造成的一些错误， 不正确的口译，我对此感到忏悔，发露忏悔，公开发露忏悔，并且我也祈愿芝加哥宝吉祥的这个建筑物很快就能够这个贷款能够付清。I will see you in October. I'll see you in October in retreat.
Okay. Oh, really? Oh, that's great. That's great.
那这个刚刚主本就是谢谢我那这个口译以及我对他们衷心的祝福。他说希望很快能够再见面。那事实上我10月份就可以会跟主本一起来闭3个礼拜的关，就是圣的金刚的关，所以我就说很快就会见面了，所以主本也很高兴。接下来是这个越南的这个法友 Christy， 因为他主要这一次背后的这个在美国这一部分的这个直播都是他来操作的，在越南也有很多法友透过他们的直播能看到这个教授。当然对于这个我们这个中国的法友，我知道我们的法友有来自美国，来自台湾，来自中国很多很多的法友，也谢谢各位在背后出力以及出钱的法友们，也希望你们的这个祈愿都能够早日得到这个成就。那刚刚那个越南的法友讲说，在几个礼拜这个主本就要开始来带这个圣的金刚的闭关了，是大众的闭关，到时候呢就又会再见面了。所以呢9月的那个圣的金刚的闭关呢，应该我也会翻译，因为那是在我闭关之前。那主本谢谢各位。好，那现在既然这个该讲的谢词都讲完了，我们就继续回过头来讲这个主本的回答。这个回答就是有关嗡阿吽金刚念诵的这个问题。那我们在这个嗡阿吽。
So then the channels, the Vajra recitation.
我们讲到这个嗡阿吽金刚念诵呢
is not we connect that in terms of visualization to the 3 channels at the 4 chakras.
他们这个嗡阿吽金刚念诵并不是直接跟这个3脉4轮有什么直接的关联的，而且直天颂公在讲嗡阿吽金刚念诵的时候并没有讲到颜色，但一般来讲嗡是白色，阿是红色，吽是蓝色。
is like wide on.
那我们有时候可以想的这个吸气的时候是白嗡，持气的时候是红色的那吐气的是蓝色的吽字，但是吉天颂公并没有讲到任何的颜色或者是形状。最主要呢就是要能够持我们的这个觉知。这主要这个嗡阿吽是帮助我们能够专心。这个有关于这个颜色，白色的嗡是证悟的这个身体呢，红色的是证悟的这个语，吽是证悟的意。那这是一般的准则是这样子的。
So there's 2 more questions here.
还有2个问题。当我们安住在的本然的个状态的时候，但我们的凡夫的概念性还是很强。那在这个时候，我们是应该用有所依的来修持，还是说继续的安住在本然的状态之中呢？
khare china kasare teni shine komna kasare ve yana ati tenche ki shine komna kasare yana ta tenme lume ni sem ngobo kyoyan chipo tinona tena kagare tikapla namto mambo kina
Ore tate nambo mambo jina ze shine diskom tuna yago ore zam shine te to tambo na shine te sem hiwan ne tona te yago ore zam do shine karina soso control na denche tingi te soso la dan te chole kontle san te so kon te yare te chaza shimbo na shan sem dis ne to ge yare zam do te so to tinga to shine te kechen bo chan ro ya ti re te kasena dime gon yuri go ne to ma re zam te ne ma to zon ru ma dang wa chi 때 신의 유린고 내에서 손은 공 유린고 내에서 야 저도 지금 공나 유린고 내에서 야 근데 레지 라로 해서 전부 신의 대비 개침 보도
이나양 콩 디 신의 가래 광고에 배나 딘시
그렇잖아 다 대제 대매 천원 가래라 천원 컨트롤 단다 나송에 천원 대제 대매 가래나 천원 출레스 공데 소소 컨트롤 단다 되겠어
So, regarding what kind of shamatha is better to practice at that time, actually,
如果说有这种情况的话，要用什么方法来修持？其实你应该挑一个最适合你的，你可以试试看不同的方式，哪一个方式让你的心最能够安止，这就是对你最适合的方法。
You will come to the state of Mahamudra.
如果你能够继续这样子的修持的话，你终究会到达大手印的这个境界。所谓的这个修持的话，一开始如果说没有办法那个安止长时间的话，那我们就可以慢慢一步一步来。如果我们需要精进的修持的话，如果能这样子一阶段一阶段的来，如果说我们精进的修持，终究能够修持到大手印的境界。至于用什么方法，你自己可以挑哪一种方式对你来讲最适合。什么是最容易成佛的方法？
雷拉修的尊重过去是你们去尊重去过去，但雷拉修这是，么呗？
你看我们的，尊重看我们的，尊重看我们的，
这个他听没到，这么多他听没到，尊重去，你们去你才没尊重去过去，没哪里办东西，这是没哪里世界理解常见是吧？
你们看着这个的。
你们说说大在你们要说的在我们家那这个吧，我叫做进步工的，前面也讲唐博，这我点着我们前面也讲究先工唐博这里可当个我点工唐个拉松，我在工这里也当开的那提前点的工这里，那么你看着我们这里提前叫做进步工的有人工还是工作做工，这接着我吧是，这个我们这个我来了我多的。알아래 그렇게 대당 그 다른 검진도 봐나 심지어나 이제 검사 장르 투기에 침보 검사 내가 대한다고 말 심지어나 이제 검사는 참여 장소 sembrare 장르 투기에 침보 검사 장르 투기에 침보는 대란세 검사 대담도 지워를 잡에 남아고 지워를 잡에 남아고 남아라 봐 동반이라 유ren생 동반이 유ren생 동반이 쳐서 유ren고 공부를 봐我在晓得进步有人，第二我把家也投，是从我了，我对那么些有人不共同那这个。
你谈不拉嘛的，你看光过来送送啊？
哎，工作没得工作，那么从一见面，这工作就了工作，国家这嘛的工作，没那里的这种的话，一见面，今天有嘛的这个，那么那么就他说，做我这他你搞工那这个，就我工那这个。但今天中午看上你搞什么？我等你搞光嘛这个吧，没哪里的这种，的七八下要嘛的是吧？
今天中午看的，你看了啦？
你看中午我看到的。
So what's the easiest way to attain Buddhahood?
什么是成佛最容易的方法呢？
The easiest is if you're very diligent.
最重要的就是你要能够精进修行，这个是最容易的方法。你如果不是很精进的修行的话，那你就
It's because of diligence.
因为你能够非常的这个精进，所以那个弥勒巴才能够一生当中成就佛果。
It's best to just practice Mahamudra
如何的修呢？
meditation.
最好就是修大手印或者是禅修。
The easiest practice is to practice the fivefold path.
那所以对我来讲呢，最容易的就是大手印无知道。一天开始的时候发心那个菩提心，那个慈悲心，再来修本尊法。那吉天松公祖师的这个指引是说，观想上师根本上师在心中。那这个接下来就修这个大手印的状态，或者说不管多久的时间能够保任，然后再来回向。那这个那今天这个弥勒日巴对这个也有讲，但是并不是叫他无知道，但是他也讲说首先要对一切的众生要有慈悲心，这就是菩提心。接下来要观想你的身体为这个大悲观音，这就是本尊。那你观想上师在你的头顶，这就是上师瑜伽。但这个我们观想上师可以在不同的这个位置。那吉天松公讲到心轮，那个弥勒巴讲头顶。第四个部分，我们要长时间安住在空性之中，那这就是所谓的修持大手印。那最后要用这个回向来封弦。所以这个虽然它不叫做大手印无知道，但是弥勒巴也是有这样的讲，而且这样能够按照这个次第来修持的话，其实也应该是蛮容易的。这个主本很慈悲，我想所有的法友们的问题，应该他都有回答到了。这就是所有的问题。所以呢，接下来刚刚这个主本跟的结语跟所有主办人的这个谢词我们都讲过的。接下来我想我们就一起来念这个回向文。念完回向文之后就我们今天就到此为止。明天在这边早上10点半的时间到12点呢，噶千仁波切会给不动佛的灌顶。星期天早上9点到中午是有那个斯康玛的第10次的讲座，我会继续翻译。我们来回向。殊胜菩提心妙法，未生起者愿生起，已生起者亦不退，其愿辗转更增上。所知遍照遍智法至尊，缘起界处自在只供八。人间八支教法遍有记，讲修愿由闻思修持之。所以呢现在的主本在致谢词刚刚已经翻译过的，所以我个人呢，我也要谢谢各位这几天能够持续的来听讲上课。不管是在美国的法友一下班就赶来听，或者是在亚洲的法友要提早起床，还有这个上班之间还要来听课，所以非常感谢你们的这个认真跟这个用心，也希望你们这个修行能够精进，很快有更多的成就，你们的菩提心、慈悲心都能够增长。然后再讲一次，对于这个过程当中我凡口译不如法的部分，我公开忏悔，也希望大家都能够有找到自己的名师，可以来亲近修法。那至于今天的一些问题呢，事实上你们虽然从主本这边得到的一些回应，但是最好还是要跟你们的根本上师来做确认，这样才比较好。 好，因为每个人所修的法门不一样，每个上师所教的方法也不一样，然后你们合适的方法也不一样。就像刚刚这个根本上师的观想的位置有所不同，这个米日巴是说观想在头顶，这个吉天松光总师是说观想在心间一样。那所以这些修持上面的一些诀窍啊，那什么重点，可能因为你所修的法门上师的派别传承不同，而有不同的强调的地方。所以再次建议各位听了这种课之后，最好还是亲近，就近自己根本上师来再度的印证，这样最好。所以谢谢各位，我会继续放这个影带，但基本上我们今天所讲的都已经放完了。谢谢各位的耐心，我们今天超过的这个10分钟左右，很抱歉。那对于今天这个亚洲方面的这个机械的问题，也是一种无奈的情况，这也是缘分。但是也谢谢各位都很有耐心的来继续来上课这个课，祝各位早日成就，谢谢各位，再见。
Has reminded us of the importance of supporting the work of the spiritual master and translators, without whom we would not have access to the teachings. We rejoice in the merit of all who made possible to gather so many practitioners from different cultures and countries for the purpose of cultivating the Dharma for the benefit of all sentient beings. Perhaps, dear Lama, after all, there is hope for this troubled world. Thank you very much, Lama.
Tene tanga so Mexico ge Lama tama tsabsene tene tama shungchen de la tama tuti ches tene laborto kerang la Lama la tene kerang ngaso katin tene ningche chempo kyoya la ni tapane tuti ches ngaso chuna ya la tuti ches tene ina gigya se ya posela tuti ches tene Christy Rocco Pauline nang susuk ponso di tachagi lega di kaso na ropa gala to di ches na teni kaisena tela teni Vietnam teni are lomba teni kyana kitagya ki lomba tenso teni chu shutopa chaya res teni kanso lomba teni shonken sama ni katsang gachin rumboshi ki song teni nganso Give Shinian and Gigyo and so famous kitchen boyores. Tini Koranso Jeba between Latini Legat and so Kanso capture Nangro cheese. Tini Kainstena Dimena, Tini and so Chuan Yomaris, Chunian to Yomaris. Tini Tanang Stonam Samala and so Chiso Yeran Chamboyus. Tini Tam Yakab Kazakan, Tini Rishon Giri Kazakan and so Yambuzom. Jonam della Jesu Yeranius, teni ti semchen tamcheki chedo, da devat and pembaki chedo mo hins, teni chichena, teni that tengsang tula zamboling la pekanga mambu yore, teni chichena tinda bagna yemen setomna, ni chichena ganso reva yore, nato kanga nangla yang so chichena reva yores, ni tuti chest.
Thank you. Thank you.
Rocco,
thank you.
Can you have some word to the Kwanla, an organizer? Unmute yourself.
I don't hear.
Rocco, unmute yourself.
Thank you so much, Jubang. This has been such a wonderful, profound teaching. Thank you for your kindness. And I want to confess openly for any error or mistake I made during the process of translation, whether due to internet or due to my lack of understanding in this process. But I really rejoice everyone's participation. I also pray that the Chicago Varanasi will soon have all your building fund be paid off. Thank you.
Thank you, Rako.
Dagi kaya po kung kalas mo sang? Kung gikirang kosong kung tudi chiste ni kung campaign aso kachis sapok mambo na yores katin chembori. Deni kung kisi korang penakikyo se de notru chung sona yana ko tacha yapo matang na deni totun notru kare chuna kung shagiyus. Deni Tami sama ina pebiala yang tudi ches deni kong di dana Chicago radna Chicago chuzok dana kamba New York deni di kamba di Poland di gopo ma saya ke menang yakin
last tuge che ra ko deni jana ke jo ti yabo chi wa ga bo chon tuge ches.
Thank you so much. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Deni ga so jobon ji hons.
So thank you so much for your kind words and for your translation work. I'm so happy. I'll see you, and I see you all soon.
Hello to Ponla. So we are very honored.
I'll see you in October in retreat.
Yeah, okay.
Oh really? Oh, yeah. That's great. That's great.
To Ponla. So we are Vietnamese. We are very honored to have hosting this very profound, very precious teaching. And on behalf of Vietnamese Zoom, we pray for your great health, very long life, and we pray all your activities are spread out wide and far. With our devotion, we wish
这个部分好像刚刚没有翻译到这个 Christy 他在讲说对于这个希望这个祝福这个主本的这个事业深广大无边，然后这个在几个礼拜，这个主本就会给圣人金刚的灌顶跟闭关了，也希望说到时候都能够参加。
Deni kirangi tsebatene tashin kiba menlayo. Deni nganso teba mugu chembo kone. Deni kirang mombalang sukachi yangse nangronang teba mugu chembo kone shuguyus. Deni nganso topo chaya river yus. Dundoni gichena deni demchok wang deni samdiala deni nganso yangia chayong.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Ina, for your wonderful translation. Thank you. Thank you, Rocco, Sophia. So now I stop the interpretation.
好，谢谢。那接下来呢，这个就是这个 AV 的这个主持人 Christy， 他会把这个频道打开，大家可以跟主本说话。那这个就是主本已经准备下座了，谢谢各位，我们下次有缘再见。如果各位明天有时间的话，是会有不动佛的灌顶，然后也有这个后天有 Sakama， 那这一些对亚洲的法友是比较辛苦的，因为都是在半夜。但是我因为感谢仁波切的开许呢，所以就会还是我的中文口译还是会放在这个 YouTube 的频道，那请各位想办法去来看。等你们这个有空的时间再来看也是可以的。那对于这个事后的灌顶，感谢仁波切是有这样子的开许的，所以非常谢谢各位，也谢谢在背后支持我们的诸位师兄师姐们，让更多的人能够听到这些法，感恩。那大家再会，阿弥陀佛。